We love Jayden and we want him safe at home. Please, if anybody sees my son, Jayden Spicer, report it to the Jackson Police Department. Thank you. We love him very much. Please do the right thing. Call the police. Please pray for us and my son Jayden. Thank you." These were the emotional words of a mother to the public, words that, within days, would take on a chilling new meaning. Police now allege that this same woman buried her 10-year-old son in a shallow grave. How did a desperate search transform into a criminal investigation? And what truly happened on the night of August 5, 2025? Jayden Spicer was just 10 years old, a slim, blonde-haired boy with bright blue eyes and boundless energy. Family members described him as sweet and loving, yet full of life, the kind of child who could never sit still for long. He disliked bugs, hated the dark, and preferred the comfort of home. Jayden lived in Jackson, Kentucky, a close-knit Appalachian community where neighbors knew each other by name and gossip traveled faster than the mountain winds. His mother, Felicia Gross, was a familiar figure in town, not only for her role as a parent but for a darker chapter in her past. In 2017, she pleaded guilty to endangering the welfare of a minor, a conviction that resulted in a year behind bars and placed her under the shadow of Child Protective Services monitoring. Jayden lived with his siblings, and though the family's life was far from perfect, his aunt spoke of his curiosity, his smile, and his endless questions. To them, he was more than a case file, he was the heart of the family. What no one could imagine was how quickly a missing persons case in their quiet town would spiral into a tragedy that would shake Kentucky to its core. To understand how this case unfolded, it's necessary to look at the years before Jayden Spicer's disappearance. Court records show that Jayden's mother, 33-year-old Felicia Gross, was no stranger to the legal system. In 2017, she pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor charge of endangering the welfare of a minor. According to those court filings, she served a 1-year jail sentence. That case, while separate from what unfolded in 2025, placed her under the watch of Child Protective Services, and she allegedly had prior CPS involvement related to her children's care. People in Jackson, Kentucky, described the Gross household as private and sometimes chaotic. Jayden lived there with his siblings, and while some family members painted a picture of a loving mother trying to manage active children, others hinted at ongoing struggles behind closed doors. An aunt described Jayden as a good boy, very sweet, loving, hyperactive, on the go 24/7, but admitted she didn't see him as often as she'd like. Felicia's relationship with her children's father was not without tension, according to locals. Some neighbors allegedly recalled heated arguments in the home. Still, there were no public indications that Jayden was in immediate danger, at least, not until August 2025. The evening of August 5, 2025, started like any other summer night in Jackson. The town, nestled deep in Breathitt County, is the kind of place where cicadas hum after sunset and the air smells faintly of wood smoke. That night, according to both parents, Jayden was put to bed around 9 p.m. He was last seen wearing his favorite blue Sonic the Hedgehog pajamas, bright, cartoonish, and unmistakable. It's a detail that would later feature heavily in search alerts and media coverage. What happened between 9 p.m. and the following morning remains the heart of this case. In a Mirandized interview later given to police, Felicia allegedly admitted to giving Jayden a type of sleeping medication. According to the arrest citation, she claimed that the medication caused Jayden to have a medical emergency and that she believed he had died as a result. This alleged admission came after his disappearance was reported, but it paints a chilling alternative to the missing child story that would dominate the next several days. At 9:23 a.m. on Wednesday, August 6, Kentucky State Police received a 911 call reporting that 10-year-old Jayden Spicer was missing. Both parents allegedly told authorities that when they awoke that morning, Jayden was gone and his whereabouts were unknown. Troopers responded immediately. A statewide missing child alert was issued, describing Jayden's appearance, clothing, and last known location. KSP Trooper Matt Gayhart spoke publicly during the early hours of the search, saying, "We have a lot of different tools in place and we're going to continue to search until our resources are exhausted." The search area began near the family's home on Panbull Branch Road and quickly expanded. Crews combed wooded terrain, riverbanks, and rural backroads. The focus at that point was solely on finding a lost child, not investigating a crime. By Thursday, August 7th, the search had escalated into a massive, multi-agency effort. Drones scanned the tree canopy, ATVs cut through rough trails, sonar equipment swept nearby waters, and K-9 units sniffed along riverbanks. Felicia Gross, meanwhile, made a public appeal for help. In a handwritten note that circulated online and in local news, she wrote, "We love Jayden and we want him safe at home. Please, if anybody see my son Jayden Spicer, please report it to the Jackson Police Department. Please pray for us and my son Jayden. The letter was read by many as the heartfelt plea of a desperate mother. But as the days went by, and with no sign of Jayden, the tone in the community began to shift. Around this time, media outlets began digging into Felicia's background, unearthing her 2017 child endangerment conviction. Some neighbors questioned whether Jayden would have wandered far from home on his own, noting his dislike of bugs and fear of the dark. One aunt told WKYT, "It seemed so unreal he would go up there. He's afraid of the hills, the dark, and the insects. He doesn't like being outside alone at night." Despite these doubts, the search continued relentlessly through August 8. After nearly a week of searching, the case took a grim turn. On the afternoon of Tuesday, August 12, police received what they described as a new tip during the ongoing investigation. That tip allegedly came after Felicia's interview with authorities, in which she is accused of confessing to her role in Jayden's death. According to the arrest citation, Felicia allegedly told investigators she had transported Jayden's body to a wooded area along Canoe Road, near the mouth of Joe Little Fork, roughly 19 miles southwest of the family's home. Armed with this information, troopers executed a search warrant on the property. Around 3 p.m., they uncovered a shallow grave. Inside, buried underground in a plastic tote, were the remains of a child matching Jayden's description. Trooper Gayhart confirmed the discovery that evening, stating, "While this is not the outcome we had hoped for, we are grateful we were able to bring him out of the woods today." Felicia Gross was immediately arrested and charged with second-degree manslaughter, abuse of a corpse, tampering with physical evidence, falsely reporting an incident, and tampering with a witness. The witness tampering charge stems from allegations that she coached her other children on what to tell police during the missing persons investigation. By Wednesday, August 13, the story was national news. Outlets from People magazine to the New York Post reported on the arrest, the alleged confession, and the grim discovery. A GoFundMe campaign, set up by Jayden's aunt to support search efforts, was shut down following the recovery of his body. On Thursday, August 14, Felicia Gross made her first court appearance in Breathitt County. She entered a plea of not guilty to all charges. Dressed in a jail-issued uniform, she spoke only to confirm her identity and her plea. Her next court date was scheduled for Monday, August 18, 2025. Until then, she remains held without bond at the Kentucky River Regional Jail. The autopsy results, which will determine Jayden's official cause of death, have not yet been released. Prosecutors, led by Commonwealth's attorney Miranda King, have stated they will pursue justice for Jayden to the fullest extent of the law. When the missing child search for 10-year-old Jayden Spicer began on the morning of August 6, 2025, the focus was on recovery, bringing him home safely. But as days passed, investigators allegedly began to notice inconsistencies in statements from members of Jayden's household. Those discrepancies, coupled with behind-the-scenes interviews, would allegedly lead to a shocking confession and the unraveling of the missing person narrative. The most damning piece of evidence so far, according to the arrest citation obtained by multiple outlets, came directly from Jayden's mother, Felicia Gross, during a Mirandized interview at Jackson Police Department headquarters. In that interview, Felicia allegedly admitted to giving Jayden a type of sleeping medication on the night of August 5, 2025. The official wording from the police document states, Ms. Gross further stated that this medication caused Jayden to have a medical emergency and she believed that he had passed away from this medical emergency. The type of medication has not been disclosed in public reports, and police have not yet confirmed whether it was prescribed to Jayden or obtained through other means. The Kentucky State Police have also not released whether toxicology tests were performed yet or what results, if any, have come back from the autopsy. What investigators did make clear is that this alleged admission shifted the tone of the case. What was once believed to be a missing person incident quickly turned into a death investigation with Felicia Gross at the center. Beyond the alleged admission of giving medication, authorities also claim that Felicia Gross took deliberate steps to conceal the circumstances of Jayden's death. One of the charges she faces is tampering with a witness, a serious felony in Kentucky. The witness, in this case, according to the arrest citation, refers to her other children. Law enforcement alleges that after Jayden's death, Felicia coached his siblings on what to say to investigators in order to support her version of events, that Jayden had simply disappeared from home during the night. The details of exactly what the siblings were allegedly told have not been publicly disclosed, likely to protect the integrity of their testimony and their identities as minors. However, the mere existence of this charge suggests investigators believe Felicia attempted to influence or manipulate potential eyewitness accounts to prevent the truth from coming out. In a small town like Jackson, where neighbors keep a close eye on each other's children, the notion of a parent allegedly coaching children to mislead police struck residents as particularly disturbing. One community member, speaking anonymously to a local reporter, said, "It's bad enough to lose a child, but to think about the others being told what to say, that just shakes you to your core." The location of Jayden's remains is another major piece of evidence in this case, and the way it was described in official police documents paints a grim picture. Felicia allegedly told investigators she placed Jayden's body in a plastic tote, a large storage container with a lid, after his death. She then allegedly transported it roughly 19 miles from the family's home on Panbull Branch Road to a remote, wooded area on Canoe Road near the mouth of Joe Little Fork. The arrest citation says. Ms. Gross further stated in the interview that she had transported Jayden's body to a wooded area on Canoe Road near the mouth of Joe Little Fork. This stretch of Canoe Road is rural, with thick tree cover and limited vehicle access. Residents say it's an area where few people travel unless they have a specific reason to be there. The police report notes that a search warrant was prepared and executed on the property Felicia allegedly identified, and Jayden's remains were located buried underground in that plastic tote. The choice of location, and the act of burial, adds weight to the abuse of a corpse charge Felicia faces. Kentucky law defines that offense as treating a corpse in a way that would outrage ordinary family sensibilities. Troopers, detectives, and crime scene technicians converged on the Canoe Road site on August 12, 2025. At approximately 3 p.m., the shallow grave was uncovered. Officials have not disclosed exactly how deep the burial site was, but reports from WKYT and WCHS describe it as a shallow grave in dense woods. The discovery was made in the presence of the Breathitt County coroner, who confirmed that the body recovered matched the description of Jayden Spicer. His remains were immediately transported to the Kentucky Medical Examiner's office in Frankfort for an autopsy. Commonwealth's attorney Miranda King addressed the public later that evening, saying, "While this is not the outcome that we had hoped for, we certainly are grateful that we were able to bring him out of the woods today. Jayden is now in good hands, and we're going to take care of him." One piece of evidence that has drawn both public and prosecutorial attention is the handwritten note Felicia gave to the media during the search. Written in her own hand, it read in part, "We love Jayden and we want him safe at home. Please, if anybody see my son Jayden Spicer, please report it to the Jackson Police Department. Thank you. We love him very much. Please do the right thing. Call the police. Please pray for us and my son Jayden. Thank you." Prosecutors may argue that this note was part of an effort to maintain her missing child narrative while allegedly knowing Jayden was already dead. If proven, it could be used to support the falsely reporting an incident charge, which applies when someone deliberately gives law enforcement false information that leads to an unnecessary investigation. The tampering with physical evidence charges stems from the alleged concealment of Jayden's body. Kentucky law defines this crime as destroying, removing, concealing, or altering physical evidence with intent to impair its availability in an official proceeding. In this case, the physical evidence in question is Jayden's remains. Prosecutors allege Felicia's burial of her son in a concealed location miles from their home were an intentional act to hinder the investigation into his death. The use of a sealed plastic tote, according to legal analysts, may further demonstrate planning and deliberation, though the defense will likely argue that any actions were taken under emotional distress, not with criminal intent. While the autopsy results have not yet been released, they will be a critical piece of evidence. If toxicology confirms the presence of sedatives or other medication in Jayden's system, it could directly corroborate Felicia's alleged admission. Conversely, if the cause of death is found to be different from what she told police, it could lead to additional charges or change the nature of the prosecution's case. Investigators have not publicly commented on whether the exact medication allegedly given to Jayden has been recovered or identified. Felicia Gross has entered a not guilty plea to all charges. Her defense team will likely challenge the admissibility of her alleged confession, possibly arguing that it was made under duress or without full understanding of her rights. They may also contest the interpretation of the burial as evidence of malicious intent, framing it instead as an act of panic or grief. The witness tampering allegation may also be contested, with the defense arguing that any conversations with her children were misinterpreted or taken out of context. Prosecutors, however, seem prepared to present this case as a deliberate attempt to cover up a preventable death. The combination of the alleged admission, the burial site, the concealed container, and the instructions allegedly given to siblings creates, in their view, a chain of actions that point toward intent to mislead law enforcement and avoid accountability. If convicted, Felicia faces significant prison time. Second-degree manslaughter in Kentucky can carry up to 10 years, and the other charges could add substantial years on top of that. before the grim discovery on August 12, 2025, Jayden's disappearance had been treated by many as a heartbreaking but straightforward missing child case. Flyers were printed, search parties formed, and in Jackson, Kentucky, a place where news rarely travels beyond county lines, people were talking of little else. In those early days, Jayden's aunts were among the most vocal family members on social media and in interviews. One aunt, speaking to a local reporter, said, "We just want Jayden home. We're holding out hope, but something about all this, it's not adding up." While she didn't directly accuse anyone at that point, her words hinted at suspicion brewing beneath the surface. Another aunt posted online, "Jayden wouldn't just wander off. He's scared of the dark and bugs. Someone knows something." According to family friends, these aunts had been aware of prior CPS involvement with Jayden's household and allegedly questioned whether everything they were being told about the night of August 5 was true. Still, no one publicly voiced a direct accusation against Felicia Gross before the body was found. They were balancing suspicion with the desperate hope that Jayden might still be alive. For Jackson residents, the story took on a deeply personal tone. This was a small Appalachian town, and Jayden's face quickly became familiar to everyone, from cashiers at the grocery store to hunters on the outskirts of town. People who had never spoken to the Spicer family still joined in the search, bringing ATVs, flashlights, and food for volunteers. When Felicia Gross made her now infamous public plea, "We love Jayden and we want him safe at home," neighbors claimed they saw genuine tears in her eyes. One local man who participated in the search told a Lexington-based news crew, "I believed her. I really thought this was just a mother in pain. That's what makes this so hard to swallow now." The emotional turning point came after Jayden's body was allegedly found buried inside a plastic tote along Canoe Road. The news spread faster than the official police statement could be released. A woman who lived nearby said, "One second, we're out here walking these hills looking for him. The next second the cops are saying they found him, dead. And it's his own mama they're arresting? Lord has mercy." People who had spent hours combing through woods and creek beds alongside Felicia now wrestled with the possibility that, according to police allegations, she had known exactly where Jayden was the entire time. Some community members have said privately they feel betrayed, angry that they risked their safety in rugged terrain under the summer sun, believing they were helping a grieving mother, only to be told she was allegedly involved in his death. As one volunteer bluntly put it, "She had us out here chasing a ghost." The Spicer family has reportedly fractured in the aftermath. Some relatives are struggling to reconcile the Felicia they knew with the woman now facing a murder charge. One cousin told a regional paper, "Felicia's made mistakes, sure, but murder? I can't see it. I just can't." Others have fully accepted the police version of events, calling for the harshest possible sentence if she's convicted. For Jackson, the case has become a mix of grief and disbelief. A candlelight vigil held after Jayden's body was recovered drew dozens, but the air was heavy with questions rather than closure. A local pastor prayed aloud, "Lord, help us understand what happened to this child." The collective reaction is still raw. People are mourning a boy they had hoped to see running around town again. They are also coming to terms with the possibility, still legally unproven, that the person who once asked for their help may have allegedly been the one responsible for his death. As of mid-August 2025, Felicia Gross is being held in custody at the Breathitt County Jail. Authorities have confirmed she faces multiple charges connected to the death of her 7-year-old son, Jayden Spicer. According to court filings, the charges include murder, for allegedly causing the death of her son through the administration of sleeping medication and other actions still under investigation. Tampering with physical evidence, for allegedly concealing Jayden's body inside a plastic storage tote and burying it in a wooded area along Canoe Road. Abuse of a corpse, for allegedly failing to notify authorities and instead disposing of her son's remains in a clandestine manner. Wanton endangerment, linked to the alleged drugging incident and potential risk posed to other minors in the home. Each charge carries different sentencing ranges under Kentucky law, with murder potentially carrying a life sentence if she is convicted. The case is still in its preliminary stage. Felicia has made one brief court appearance, during which she appeared in an orange jumpsuit, shackled at the wrists and ankles. Local reporters noted she spoke softly, answering only "yes, ma'am" and "no, ma'am" when addressed by the judge. The next scheduled event is a preliminary hearing in late August, where prosecutors are expected to outline their evidence in more detail and a judge will decide whether to send the case to the grand jury. If the grand jury indicts her, the case will move to circuit court, where felony trials are held. One Breathitt County prosecutor told a Lexington news station, "We are treating this as a homicide case involving a minor, which under Kentucky law requires us to proceed with great care and thoroughness." At the heart of the case is the pending autopsy report from the Kentucky State Medical Examiner's Office. While investigators have said Jayden was allegedly given sleeping medication that led to a medical emergency, the exact cause and manner of death have not been officially released. A detective involved in the investigation noted during a press conference, "Until we have the final autopsy report, we can't speak definitively on the cause of death. We do, however, believe we have probable cause to pursue the current charges." The autopsy is also expected to test for specific substances in Jayden's system, determine the timeline of ingestion, and assess any signs of prior injuries or neglect. Prosecutors will likely use this evidence to establish intent or recklessness, which will be critical at trial. Felicia Gross has been assigned a public defender. Her attorney has so far declined to comment on the specifics of the case, citing the ongoing investigation, but has stated, "My client is presumed innocent." She looks forward to the opportunity to respond to these allegations in court. The defense will likely challenge both the admissibility of Felicia's alleged admissions to police and the credibility of certain witnesses, including family members who have publicly criticized her. If the case proceeds to trial, it could take months, or even more than a year, before a jury hears the evidence. In the meantime, prosecutors are building their case with forensic reports, witness statements, and search warrant returns. The defense will be conducting its own investigation, potentially hiring experts to review the autopsy findings. For now, Jayden's family and the Jackson community remain in limbo, waiting for official answers from the coroner, legal rulings from the judge, and eventually, a verdict from a jury. The legal process may be slow, but as one local woman put it outside the courthouse, "We need to see this through." Jayden deserves the truth to come out, no matter how long it takes. The death of 7-year-old Jayden Spicer has shaken Breathitt County to its core. What began with a tearful plea from his mother for help finding him turned into a devastating discovery, a shallow grave on Canoe Road, and a homicide investigation that has left far more questions than answers. Authorities allege that Jayden's mother, Felicia Gross, gave him sleeping medication that led to a medical emergency, and instead of calling for help, allegedly hid his body in a plastic tote before burying him. With the trial still ahead and an autopsy pending, the truth of what happened on the night of August 5, 2025, remains incomplete. Beyond this case, it forces us to ask difficult questions about the child welfare system. How many warnings go unheard? How many vulnerable children slip through the cracks until it's too late? As one local advocate painfully put it, if the system worked the way it should, Jayden would still be alive today. This is a story about justice, about systemic failures, and about a little boy whose life ended far too soon. And it's a story that isn't over yet. If you want to stay updated as new evidence comes to light, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss the next chapter in this case, or the hard truths we'll uncover about how children are protected in America. So I'll leave you with this: do you believe this was a tragic accident, or something far more intentional?